true price of the many Liberal scandals is hitting home in Northern Ontario.
Yep.
To pay for their gas plant scandal or their smart meter scandal, this government is firing nurses. Hundreds of nurses have been fired in Sudbury, Timmins, the Sioux, and my hometown of North Bay. A recent Sudbury Star headline reads, quote, "Nurse layoffs jeopardize lives." Or the North Bay Nugget headline, Speaker, "Deaths will rise if nursing cuts not opposed." The Liberal government just fired 158 healthcare workers at the North Bay Hospital. And Speaker, that's on top of the 197 they fired over the last 3 years. Speaker, when will this government come clean and admit they are firing nurses to pay for their scandals?
Minister of Health and Long-Term Care.
Minister of Health and Long-Term Care.
Well, thank you, Mr. Speaker, and I've had the opportunity to speak with the member opposite specifically about his hospital in North Bay, and he does know, because we talked about this, that the funding in that hospital has increased by over $100 million since we came into office. He also knows, and I took some time to detail this with him because I believe it's important, is that the LHIN and the hospital are still having discussions. There has been no decision, Mr. Speaker. There isn't an official plan going forward by the hospital that's being approved by the LHIN. The LHIN and the hospital are in those negotiations and working first and foremost, Mr. Speaker, to make sure that there'll be no negative impact on patient care. I'm confident that if we give that time and space to the LHIN and the hospital to have those negotiations, to build that plan together, the ministry has been working as well diligently with both parties to make sure that we're prepared to step in where we need to make sure that quality of care is maintained.
Thank you. Supplementary.
Back to the Premier. Speaker, the Auditor General told us that the consequences of Liberal spending would, quote, crowd out the programs Ontarians depend on. Add the cost of their scandals, and we now see what this government is doing.
Deputy House Leader.
Waste $1 billion on the Orange scandal, fire 100 nurses in Timmins and the Sioux. Waste $1 billion on the gas plant scandal, fire 100 nurses in Sudbury. Waste a couple $1 billion on smart meters, fire a couple hundred nurses in North Bay. Get caught paying $10,000 to have computer files deleted? Don't worry, just fire another nurse up north. Speaker, how many more nurses and frontline healthcare workers is this government going to fire to pay for their next scandal?
Seated, please. Thank you. Minister.
Thank you. Well, the member opposite, of course, has his own list. Here's mine. That opposition party in the last election promised to fire 100,000 workers in the broader public sector, many of them healthcare workers, Mr. Speaker. That party opposite, when they were in government, fired thousands of nurses, closed dozens of hospitals, Mr. Speaker. We've hired, since we came into office, to correct their mistakes and the damage that they had done, have hired more than 24,000 nurses. More than 10,000 of those are registered nurses. And of course, Sudbury, out of the very first location in this province, Mr. Speaker, to have a nurse practitioner-led clinic, the first of 25 that exist in this province today. That's our commitment. It's not the commitment of your party. In fact, we've corrected over the last decade the errors that